Page 163. Blind Bartimaeus. Blind Bartimaeus. Okay, so let's get with it. The Gospel and the Zodiac, the secret truth about JC, the Christ figure, by the Reverend Bill Darlison, okay? Page 163, Blind Bartimaeus. Okay. Like and share the video, y'all. Like and share the video. Before JC reveals his true identity as Caesarea Philippi, he cures a blind man whose perception of human nature is faulty. This is coming from Mark 8:22 through 26. Before riding triumphantly into Jerusalem, he performs a similar miracle. Bartimaeus is begging by the roadside outside of Jericho. Now remember, Jericho is supposed to be the lowest place on earth. I think it's at 850 feet below sea level. So, all the way the lowest place on earth, you find a beggar. Okay? There's a beggar there. He's begging by the roadside. Okay? He's crying out, JC, son of David, have mercy on me. Mark 10:47, y'all. It is significant that the man making such a cry is blind. The cry is, JC, son of David, have mercy on me. He's blind. Now, blind can be blind in the eyes or what? Blind in your mind. Right? You're in darkness mentally. Ignorant is one form of blindness. Or your beliefs can make you blind, right? Because we don't see with our eyes. We get the light. We get the reflected light with our eyes, and that reflected light goes into our brain, and our minds actually create the vision, or what we know as vision, in the brain, right? So if you have a belief, your brain is going to do what? It's going to interpret everything to be in harmony, consistent with that belief. Therefore, something that is against your beliefs, your mind can actually blind you from perceiving it. Okay? Blind you from perceiving it. Okay? So let's continue. Son of David, have mercy on me. It is significant that the man making such a cry is blind. His name is also significant. So here we are again with etymology, y'all. Okay, we must understand etymology if we're not going to go for the okie doke. And they can pull the okie doke over you, the same trick 100 times. How? Through etymology. You'll never know. They can change the goals. I mean, they can change the rules of the game. Change the goalposts. How? By changing the words, and you'll never know. His name is also significant. Bartimaeus means, quote, son of Timaeus, end quote. Which in Aramaic, and they allegedly spoke Aramaic, right? All of the Jews were allegedly speaking Aramaic during JC's day. So Timaeus in Aramaic means son of defilement. Y'all got that? So the son of defilement is blind. And he's saying, son of David, have mercy on me. All right, so clearly he could not see JC, the Christ figure, right? Did he know what JC's voice sounds like? Who knows? Was that his first time seeing him? We don't know. Can he be mentally blind, having a misconception, not understanding, ignorant? He got the wrong person, right? That's a message here. That's what this is getting to. Bartimaeus means son of Timaeus, which in Aramaic would mean son of defilement. But Time in Greek, which is the base word, y'all, means honor. Okay, so now there's defilement, right? In religious terms, y'all call that sin. Sin in Aramaic, or defilement in Aramaic, but honor in Greek. So where is this going? And Mark is obviously capitalizing on the ambiguity. What's the ambiguity? Well, which one is meant, right? Which one does he mean? Well, they spoke Aramaic. So clearly, he would be talking about the Aramaic meaning because they were not speaking Greek, right? Or Hebrew. Quote, Son of David is a conventional messianic title. And the blind Bartimaeus sees JC as a candidate for the role of literal Messiah. Y'all see that? Literal Messiah, not a spiritual Messiah. A literal Messiah, that would mean the expectations that the Jews had of a Messiah, right? Which is different. Remember, JC never lived up to any of the Jewish expectations of what a Messiah would do. Okay? And that's the problem with the Jews that they have with JC being the Messiah, right? He didn't live up to any of the in other words, he didn't fulfill the prophecies. The one who will save Israel from her enemies. But, as Mark will later explain in Mark 12, 35 through 37, the Messiah is not a specific figure descended from David. Y'all got that? But as Mark will later explain in chapter 12, verse 35 through 37, the Messiah is not a specific historical figure descended from David. That means that JC, the Christ figure, is not the Messiah according to Mark. This is what is explained in Mark 12, 35 through 37. The Messiah is not a specific person. Let me show that. This is page 163. Y'all pause the video when you play it back. All right, pause it and play it back. You can see it for yourself. Right where my thumb is. I'm going to move my thumb. The link to the free PDF is in the description area of the video. Okay, so Mark says that the Messiah is not a real person, a physical person who ever lived. But as Mark will later explain in Mark 12, 35 through 37, the Messiah is not a specific historical figure. So that image that y'all looking at, the JC image, that's not JC. That's not the Christ figure, rather, or the Messiah, let me put it like that. That's not the Messiah. It's not a specific historical person descended from David. So David is supposed to be of the tribe of Judah, right? Right? So there's no Messiah, a real historical person that came from the tribe of Judah, according to Mark 12:35 through 37. The whole of this gospel, that's Mark's gospel, the very first gospel, is designed to teach us that salvation does not come through military victory, but through the Piscean virtue of self-sacrifice. Okay, so now what has happened? They took the concept of self-sacrifice and anthropomorphized it into a man called JC, the Christ figure. Y'all see that? The whole of this gospel is designed to teach us that salvation does not come through military victory, but through the Piscean virtue of self-sacrifice. So the whole entire gospel is supposed to teach you that salvation is through self-sacrifice. What does that mean? Salvation. Saving who? Saving yourself, right? You being saved comes through self-sacrifice. Well, if there's no Messiah in a physical body, then obviously that Messiah is not going to save you. There's no ransom available to you, according to Mark. Why? Because JC never had, or the Christ figure, the Messiah rather, never had a physical body. So therefore he could not die and give his life as a ransom sacrifice, right? Eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Through one man, Adam, sin into the world, and death through sin. Okay, and then JC is the man who, allegedly the man who comes and gives his life as a propitiatory ransom sacrifice. It never happened. So where is this salvation coming from? The salvation is coming from you. So what is this self-sacrifice? You need to what? Save yourself. Not through self-sacrifice, no. You need to save yourself by becoming a higher self person. A higher self man or woman, rather. That's all. So that's the state of mind. The state of mind of poverty is opposite of the state of mind of wealth. The state of mind of suffering is opposite of the state of mind of gratitude and wealth. Empathy. Those are the states of mind or the paradigm of the curses. Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. State of mind of suffering. That's the curses. All right, y'all? The state of mind of wealth, prosperity, success, nobility. That's the state of mind of the blessings. Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. The two do not mix. The two don't mix. In fact, when your state of mind starts to descend toward lower self, okay, you're headed into the curses. When your state of mind begins to ascend to higher self behavior, right? You're headed where? Back into the blessings, because you're going to harmonize with nature, therefore harmonizing or following the Most High's instructions. Simple, right? But the point I want to emphasize is according to Mark, and Mark actually explains it in Mark 12, 35 through 37, that the Messiah is not a specific historical figure from David. Therefore, you have no propitiatory sacrifice. One man never gave up his life on behalf of many. That doesn't exist according to Mark, which is the first gospel. And all of the other ones were worked off of his word. The whole of this gospel is designed to teach us that salvation. Now remember, salvation is not a concept of the contract, the Mosaic covenant. That's not what it's about. Read Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14. That's something extra. This is Christian. The whole of this gospel is designed to teach us that salvation, well, who cares about salvation? That's extra contract. Nothing to do with the contract. Does not come through military victory, but through the Piscean virtue of self-sacrifice. So now here they created this narrative where you're a sinner and you need salvation from an external source. Y'all see that? They just came up with it. Paul came up with it. About the first Adam and the second Adam. That's Paul. Now you're a sinner. Whole narrative. And then they get you to believe it. And then they tell you, oh, you have to be self-sacrificing. And then they turn around and create self-sacrifice into a man. They anthropomorphized it. Created a whole character called JC to get you to bow down to that character, that mythological character. They transported you into it through the pen and the paper, narrative transportation, and you believe it. So much so that when you think about the story, you might feel sad. Or you think about the hope of going to heaven, you feel amazing. The whole story of this gospel is designed to teach us that salvation does not come through military victory, but through the Piscean virtue of self-sacrifice. But isn't it interesting that the hybrid salvation did come through military victory? Y'all think about that? Isn't that how they got control of the earth and all of its resources right now? It was through military. But guess what? Guess what aided? Guess what aided and maintained it? It's religion. It's religion. Without religion, they could not do what they're currently doing and what they've accomplished, right? They needed you to consent. So they gave you a big, shiny gift, pretty package, flowery words, with absolutely nothing inside of it. In fact, you don't get it now, you get it when you die. All right, y'all? So self-sacrifice, which is a what? In Christianity, y'all say, oh, that's a condition of the heart. Self-sacrifice. And when you do it, that's an action, right? When you think about it, okay, that's in your mind. State of mind, emotion. They turned that into a man. And wrote a whole story out of it. The same thing that they did with the idea of the soul, right? The energy pack, the battery in your body. Anthropomorphized that and said it lives on after death. So now they got this whole story where they can control you. And you know that they control you because you're afraid to die. Number one, you're afraid to even read information that goes against what your religion says you should read, that goes against what you've been indoctrinated with. You're afraid to read it, and most of you won't. You lose sleep at night because you're afraid. You've been transported into a story, just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. They were afraid. Y'all remember the Wicked Witch? She was green, wore the black, Saturn and Mars. Then they had the flying monkeys. Oh, that show scared the mess out of me when I was a child. Well, there's your Han Uman. There's your Han Uman. And behind all of that was what? A little Han Uman, a little pale colonist, pushing buttons. All right, let's continue. Nor is salvation delivered through the agency of any one person. Y'all got that? Nor is salvation delivered through the agency of any one person. In other words, JC is not your salvation. But salvation is achieved by all who are prepared to take the way of the cross. That's suffering, right? But guess what the cross is? The cross is the Southern Cross. It's a constellation seen only in the southern hemisphere. For example, like in Brazil. Yeah, the Southern Cross. That's where that concept comes from, of the cross. Initially, it was a lamb standing next to a cross. It wasn't until several hundred years later that they put a man on the cross. Okay? And a lot of y'all still running around here boasting and bragging that JC would have been black or is black. Well, guess what? He never lived, that's number one. But so was everybody else would have been classified that using today's language. And it's no big deal. Because it's these same people who got you in the curses and keeping you there anyway. So what does skin color have to do with anything? Nothing. The issue here is natural law. Following the Most High's commandments. Absolutely nothing to do with skin color or classifications. Okay? Anybody who's teaching you and pushing that on you, they're full of crap. All right. Disabused of his erroneous ideas, we're talking about Bartimaeus. Disabused of his erroneous ideas, symbolized by the regaining of his sight, right? JC gave him his sight back. Why? Because JC is the truth and the light. Anybody who wants to come to the Father must come through me. That's what JC said. I am the truth and the light. Okay, so JC gave him his sight back. And by the discarding of his cloak, quote, the S-O-N, son of defilement, son of sinners, the son of sin, nasty dude, is transformed into a son of honor. Okay, so he went from being in the dark, blind, transformed by the truth and the light, to going what? To being able to see. He's in the light now. This is the higher self. So he went from the lower self to the higher self. How? Because he got the truth and the light, and he did not reject it. Those who reject the truth and the light, they killed the truth and the light where? In their mind. Where's the mind? It's in the brain. Where's the brain situated? In your skull. So they killed the truth and the light. They crucify the Christ or hang the Christ or put the Christ on a stake in skull place in their own mind. They killed the Christ in their own mind. Now remember, the Christ is not a physical person. They killed the truth and the light because it's too bright. They don't want to see it. Right? So they kill it in skull place, in their mind. Okay? This person accepted the truth and the light, disabused from his erroneous ideas. What was his erroneous idea? That JC was a son of David. And by the discarding of his cloak, the son of defilement is transformed into a son of honor. In other words, nobody external to you is going to save you. That's the defilement. Don't worship external deities. Exodus 20, verse 1 through 3. If you do that, that's defilement. There's no Messiah that came from the line of David. Defilement. So Bartimaeus accepted that truth and that light, and he was able to see. His mind was open. Okay? He became enlightened. Okay, now he can see he's going toward higher self. No longer in the lower self, in the darkness. Y'all see it? Very simple, right? Let's continue. So in the light, he becomes a son of honor. That's the Greek uses of the word, son of honor. The beggar has become a disciple. And Bartimaeus is now able to move out of the depths of scorpionic Jericho, lower self, right? Thinking, behavior, he's in the dark, in the lower self, and follow JC in the way. Where? Follow JC in the truth and the light. That comes from Mark 10, verse 52. Okay, so that ends this subheading, y'all. Support my project to write the book of the law in ancient Ibaryath and modern English. All of the references to the cosmos will be restored in the book of the law. All of the deception, all of the lies, everything that was hidden and taken out, I'm going to put it back in there myself. I'm going to write it by scratch. Okay? I'm not buying some application and filling in the blanks, changing some words. No, from scratch. I'm going to type the whole thing up from scratch. One word at a time. This is a big project because not only am I doing it in Ibaryath, I'm giving you the etymology of every word. I'm giving you how each word was rendered. It's part of speech and the finished sentences or the whole thing finished in modern English with footnotes. And if I can get the images, I'll get images too, but these things cost money, y'all. So this is not money fiat. This is not a short-term or easy project. Okay? So we don't have our own book of the law right now. But it's a shame that we don't. Do y'all agree? Is it a shame? They're supposed to be a reawakening? Well, where's our own literature? Look in the description area of this video. You'll see plenty of our own literature that I myself authored. Okay, I authored it. So buy my books. Okay, and support this project. Enroll in my Saturday live online class, 506 The Curses course. The tuition is very reasonable. You can come a few times for free, no problem. Many people have, and I've been doing it for years. Many, many years I've been doing this. Okay? Also subscribe to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. It is absolutely critical that you learn, become familiar with Ancient Ibaryath, etymology and linguistics. You'll find all of this stuff in that course, and it's very inexpensive. Also grammar. It's a heavy-duty course, y'all, but you don't need any experience in Hebrew. None whatsoever. You don't need any. Okay? Islam to all the Moors and Shalom. My Cash App is $DrYasapa. PayPal is paypal.me/Zion Law School. Check it to make sure in the description area of this video. Like and share the video if you stayed longer than 5 minutes. Subscribe if you've been here more than twice. All right? I'm out.